pass at level 180 via Golf 449. Take off runway 06 after takeoff turn left, Cusco 1 departure.
Hello, and welcome to the first part of a brand new FS Mania series featuring the Carenado version of Embraer's Phenom 300. The Embraer EMB-505 Phenom 300 is a light jet aircraft developed by the Brazilian aircraft manufacturer Embraer, or Embraer, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It can carry 8 or 9 occupants with a flying range of almost 2,000 miles. The price of the standard aircraft with no optional items is estimated at, well, we might as well say $9 million in 2015. And if you say it real fast, it doesn't sound like that much money. The Phenom 300 is considered by many to be the best of the best. Today we're located in the South American country of Brazil, in the city of Sao Jose dos Campos. You might be asking why we came all the way to Brazil from scenic Alaska, where we were happily flying around the largest state in the U.S. A few weeks ago, I got an email from Ray Marshall, a longtime contributing reviewer for AvSim. Ray is currently working on a review of the Carenado Phenom 300 and asked if I would be interested in producing some videos of the 300 that he could link to in his review. Of course I said yes, and I consider it a great opportunity to work with Ray, who is a real-world pilot as well as an accomplished writer. Ray floated an idea for a flight that would begin at Embraer's headquarters in Brazil and end in Wichita, Kansas. So, next thing you know, bada bing bada boom, I'm all the way down here in southern Brazil at the Sao Jose dos Campos airport and the headquarters of Embraer. So, here's the plan. We're taking delivery of a brand new factory fresh Phenom 300 for FS Jets, a fractional ownership private jet company based in Wichita, Kansas. Our mission is to ferry this brand new jet, November 757 X-ray Mike, 5,000 nautical miles to FS Jet's base in Wichita. There, it will become part of the FS Jet's signature line of private jets. This Phenom 300 will also be added to the ongoing FS Mania Business Jet series, where we have already featured a number of business class jets available for flight simulation. You can find that series available in the Business Jet playlist on the FS Mania YouTube channel page. We're going to break this flight up into 4 legs. The first leg is 1,320 nautical miles, almost due north from Sao Jose dos Campos to the city of Belem, located on the northeastern tip of Brazil. Leg number 2 will be 1,440 nautical miles northwest from Belem to St. Maarten in the Antilles Islands. The third leg will be a 1,063 nautical mile flight from St. Maarten to Fort Lauderdale in South Florida, where we will clear customs. While we're in Fort Lauderdale, we're going to get the Embraer facility to upgrade our avionics before heading 1,120 nautical miles northwest to Wichita on the final leg of our journey. I realize that's a lot of flights in the same jet, and FS Mania subscribers are used to seeing 1 or 2 flights in a featured aircraft before we move on to a new type. However, I assure you, there is a lot of interesting information to be discovered about the Phenom 300 along the way, and there's no telling what we will run into on this epic flight. Just be prepared to expect the unexpected. We are going to do our best to squeeze out every bit of capability this jet has to offer. A sort of fun little nugget, the tail number of this jet, 757 X-ray Mike, is very special to FS Mania. We will reveal why this is a very special N number when we land in Wichita. If you care to make a guess as to why this number is so special to us, you can do that in the comment section below. So be sure to stay tuned for the significance of 757 X-ray Mike, as well as lots of other factoids, fun facts, and further details about this $9 million baby. Later in this series, we will do a complete detailed pre-flight walk around, but for now, we're burning daylight, and we've already kicked the tires. Now it's time to go find out what this girl's made of. So climb aboard, buckle up, and let's go flying. Hello and welcome aboard, and welcome to the flight deck of the Phenom 300. This is FS Mania's flight from Sao Jose dos Campos to Belem, Brazil. It's a 1,314 nautical mile flight, so buckle up and let's get started here. Want to just mention that Ray Marshall contacted me about doing this series of videos. Ray's the contributing reviewer over at AvSim, and I said, sure, Ray, I'd be glad to. And Ray said, well, let me just send you a few things to study up on. So I did a count, and I got, in terms of manuals from Ray, 2,414 pages of information on this airplane. Now, I have read every word, studied it, and committed it to memory. I have a mind like a steel trap. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. So with that in mind, let's just come in here and we're going to do a flows and then power up our a cockpit safety check. That's what we're doing. And then we'll power up the airplane and get going. So coming down here, this is our voice data recorder. We'll do a test on that momentarily. Right now we're going to go ahead and restore the oxygen. This is a regulator test that we can't do because it's not modeled, but we'll pretend like we did it. And the batteries are in the off position, the bus ties in the auto position. Generators, let's bring them up to auto. The bleeds up to auto, the cross bleed to auto. Test switch off right now. Continuing on around, let's be sure all these circuit breakers down here are in, and over there they're all in. And then the hydraulic shut-off valves, will bring them into the open position, arm the ELT, bring on the seat belts, and the cross fuel pumps in the auto position, cross feeds off, the pusher is pushed out, and the windshield heat is off. Let's bring on the ADS probe heat to auto, the engine anti-ice is off, and the wing stabilizer anti-ice is off, the lights off, gears down. Let's get over here. The pressurization mode is auto, the environmental control system is on both. Air conditioning controls were all set, and down below here we want to bring these ignitions up one notch into auto. The start-stop switches, they should actually not be in start, but stop, no battery power, no harm, no foul. These fire extinguisher shut-offs are okay, and the bottles in the off position. So all that looks good. This is our manual trim backup system over here. And with that, we'll go ahead now. Let's see, throttles are actually, let's set park and brake set. Not throttles. Power levers are in the idle position, flap 0, and speed brakes are closed. So now we can go ahead and add some power. And there's battery 2. And what we're going to do is come up here, and everything looks like it's in date except chart data is out of date, which we don't have chart data.
Terrain
on
system
here.
test OK.
Thank you.
HTOS test OK.
Thank you. And so we're going to enter this, bring this up, and let's take a look at our battery voltage, which is right now 28 volts on battery 2. And let's be sure all these messages look good. And we don't have any abnormal messages, so let's go ahead and cut on the next battery. Battery 1 is on, and we'll come back up here now. And a couple of things, let's see, make sure, yep, we got voltage there. So let me go ahead, just a couple of things, get them out of the way. Housekeeping, there's the topo. I like to bring that on. I also like to get my track up. So let's see, not there. Enter that. Come down there. 1, 2 clicks, track up. We can enter that, and then just press the knob there to close it. And while I'm here, I'll go ahead and zoom us out or in to a 20 nautical mile range. Right there we go. That all looks good. And let's see, we can go ahead and put our transponder code in. So we've already got our clearance before I signed on. So transponder right here, 0316, and it went right into the ground mode just like it's supposed to. Being a little sarcastic there. Another thing I can do is, while I'm here and looking, is go ahead and put in our timer, our takeoff speeds. Since I have looked at the performance charts, we're at 31 degrees Celsius, pretty warm. It's about 87 degrees Fahrenheit, and VR calculates out about 108. So let's set that in here. That's for a little over 17,000 pounds takeoff weight, and I want that to be on. And then V2 is 116 knots. We're going to blow right through that, but we'll go ahead and cut it on here. It takes a second to dial it up. We'll just do it procedurally. We want to be correct. V2, and that's our safe single engine climb speed. I went right past it. There's 116 knots, and let's cut that on. So that's good. And while I'm messing with this, let's just go ahead and cut on the radio altimeter, and we'll set the minimums in case we shoot an ILS approach going into Belem. There's 200 feet. That's good. Everything looks good there. Close that box out. I like it. Okay, now let's just take a look around. Don't like to keep my head down on that panel too long without looking around. This is good old default scenery, FSX. I really did try to find some scenery for Sao Jose dos Campos. It is so hard for a southern boy to say, but I wasn't very successful. So I have seen some good scenery. I just don't know where to get it. That has a lot of nice features. But anyway, let's bring up our checklist, and let's do this. Let's select our group and normal procedures. There we go. I want to enter that. There's our handy dandy checklist. So emergency door, taken care of. Documents, yes. Maintenance, good. Emergency equipment, check. Oxygen bottle, yes. Oxygen supply control knob is in the auto regulator. We looked at it. It was good. Battery 1 and 2 switches aren't off, but if they were, we wouldn't be doing this, would we? So they're on. And the bus tie was auto. The generator 1 and 2 switches auto. GPU we're not using. The bleed 1 and 2, they're auto. Cross bleed knobs auto. The test panel is off. Circuit breakers are in. Fuel pumps 1 and 2 auto. Cross feed knobs off. And the hydraulic shut-off valves 1 and 2, yes. And the ELT, we armed it. The pusher cutout is out. The gust lock pin, interestingly, there's no hole for it, so it can't be put in. Daggone. So we don't have a gust lock pin, but we'll go ahead and just say it's gone. Windshield 1 and 2 heat switch, they're off. The ADS probes, they're off. And they're auto. And the engine 1 and 2 anti-ice, they're off. Wing stabilizer switch, that's anti-ice, it's off. Bleed 1 and 2 switches are auto. The landing gear handle is down. Pressurization mode is auto. Environmental control system, both the dump button, we'll call that out. Air conditioning panel as required. Shut off 1 and 2 buttons down here are good. And the bottle switch is off. The start stop switches are in stop, and the flaps are 0. Speed brake switch is closed. Parking brake set, and seat belts and shoulder harnesses are good. Next checklist. Battery 1 and 2 switches are on, and the GPU is not required, and the CDVR cockpit data voice recorder. We're going to do a check with that. Over here, we'll bring this switch up here, hold it, and see if we get a, there it is. Everything looks good to me. We'll check that off. Check, 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 check. Here we go, right there. Next checklist. Before start, oxygen mask, flow, and microphone checked. Test panel, except for stall warning protection system and ice. So we're not gonna test the stall warning protection system. Well, yes, we will. So let's do this. Let's come in first, and that's not it. What am I doing? It's down here. This one. We'll test first the annunciators. So we'll put it over there on the annunciators. Press the button and make sure everything lights up. Everything that I can see does. And then let's see if we don't hear a weird voice.
Fire, fire.
And another.
Fire, fire.
Those are all good. And let's check the stall warning protection system just the same. So I'm going to pull the yoke back, press the button.
Stall, stall.
And it pushes the yoke forward, nose down, just like it should. Everything worked great there. Excellent. So we'll check that all. Fire protection, smoke detector, annunciator, and signs, outlet, belts on. We've got that taken care of. External lights, we don't have any on right now. So I think the beacon might be on just because I cut the battery on, but I believe it comes on normally, the real airplane, when this switch comes up to run, or this one comes up to run, and it would flip on. But we can do this. We can come up here and put on, we'll arm this one, and let's cut on these panel lights right here. And we could cut the nav lights on. That's an indication there's power on the airplane. We'll do that. How about that? That's the compromise. I know the beacons, if it's not on, it's going to be on in just a minute. Okay, so we'll say external lights are good. Emergency light switches armed. Fuel quantity, we have a total of 5,400 pounds. That's about 400 gallons per tank. And just out of curiosity, I looked to see jet fuel right now is running about $5.21 a gallon because the oil prices are down, thankfully. And the fill up for this tank, for this bird, cost about $4,000. We're going to use about 3,600 pounds flying to Belem, and that's going to be at a cost of about $2,800 for our fuel. So the way I charge for my piloting services is whatever the fuel costs, that's what they pay me. Pretty good deal. Okay, so fuel quantity and balance is good. The oxygen pressure, which is indicated right here, is 1,850 psi. That's a lot of psi. That's good. Engine ignition switches are in the auto position, and we check them and we're liking them. Thrust levers are idle and park and brake set and doors are closed. Next checklist is the GPU is disconnected, and this is after start. So let's exit out of there, and before we get a pushback, let's do a couple other things real quick. Flight plan. We're just going direct. We're going to use the simplest flight plan known to man. We're going to go direct. And so what we're going to do is come over here and put in the Belem Airport, which is Sierra Bravo Bravo Echo Belem, and we'll go ahead and enter that and activate it. Or do we need to come down here and highlight it and then activate it? There we go. And we have our magenta line, 1,321 nautical miles, bearing 014. So we've got a departure destination. That's our flight plan. That's all we're going to do on this leg. The next leg we'll do a little more, and we'll continue to get more elaborate as we go. But for right now we'll do that. And I want to go ahead, and while we're here, we're going to climb out at initially at 160 knots. So I'm going to go ahead and set that while I'm looking. There's 160, and our initial altitude that we're going to climb to is 11,000. Set that right there, and let's come in here and do a little setup. We can do our engine set. We've got right here, we're showing 5 degrees Celsius for outside air temperature. It's actually 31, so we're going to raise that up. This is for the FADEC. It will give the engines the proper amount of fuel based on and create the proper amount of thrust for this temperature. So that is while we're setting that in there, and the ATR automatic thrust reserve is in the on position, and that's what we want. Just FYI, if you wanted to cut it off, you can flip this all day long. We're still on, so we actually want it on for departure, so we'll put it there. Let's go back, and while we're in here, landing field elevation, we can use the FMS LFE because it knows where we're going, and right now it is set on LFE of 2,100 feet, which is pretty close to where we are right now, but we want to use the FMS, so that is sea level pretty much, which is where Belem is. And then while we're in here, let's just check our altimeter setting. I think it's 2994. 2994. We're at 2120 here, 2120 on the standby, and 2120. Everything's cross-checked. So that's there, and let's go back then, and we'll go back one more time, and let's come back to our checklist, and let's just see. We haven't started yet, but let me just look at these. We've put in the takeoff data. We've got our takeoff speeds, transponders, altimeters. So we can do the rest, I think, would be just fine to do after start. And I'd say from there we'll go ahead and get our ramp fellas to come give us a little pushbacky here. And here comes the tug. It's in motion. And I'm going to go ahead and call ground and get a clearance for pushback. Good afternoon, San Jose ground, Phenom 757 X-ray Mike. We're ready for pushback. Cleared for pushing for 7 X-ray Mike. Cleared for pushback for 7 X-ray Mike. Locking the gear. Departure checks complete, bypass pins inserted, and we'll just go ahead now and release the parking brake. Let them commence the push. Push commencing. All engines are clear. Start at will. We're going to start with number 2, and let's get down here where we can see it. Basically, start stop switch. That should cut the beacons on, but I do believe they are probably already on. We'll check it. But anyway, when we come over here to start, it's a momentary thing. It starts the starter working, and we can see oil pressure is rising, N2 is rising, N1 is rising, everything's rising, about 6% N1. We should see a light. There it is. ITT, woo, boy, it got right up there at the red line. And that's the hottest start I've seen so far. Yikers. Nevertheless, we're stable into about 57%. Call that a good light. Let's go ahead and start number 1. Oil pressure is rising. N2's rising. N1's rising. Looking for a light. 5% N1. There it is. Comes all the way up to that red line. Wow. It's a hot day here in San Jose dos Campos. Yeah, 87 degrees, pretty warm day. But it's okay. We don't have any passengers. We just got a couple of 100 pounds of baggage and full fuel. So we're good. We'll get out of here, no problem. So after start, let's get in and just take a look. We want to check the emergency electric button over here. So that is right there. While they're pushing us back, we'll go ahead and get this checked. Open up there, Kimasabi. There it is. So we want to engage that and then come up here and just be sure that we have 28 volts, at least a minimum of, I think, 23.5. Yeah, right there it says it. So let's bring that on down here. They want us to set the brakes. Let's go ahead and do that. Brakes are set, and then let's go ahead and get back over here and take this off. So it's lit up white. That's telling me that that's not the normal position. Open up there. I'm going to have to hit it a couple of times to find the sweet spot. They're disconnecting us. Just keeping an eye out. Let's try it again. There it is. Now we can get it off, and it just closes by itself. Unlock the gear. Thank you. They'll move it out of the way. Bypass pins removed. And what I'm going to do, since they pushed this out here on the main taxiway, here comes an airplane coming in. Looks like a Phenom. It is a Phenom. There it goes. That's a 100. You can tell because it's such a short fuselage. We're all clear. Okay, I'm just going to slide over to the right here just a little bit.
No takeoff. Flaps.
Yeah, I know. Not taking
No
off.
takeoff. Brake.
Brakes released. I'm just going to move over here to the right. So, if any other traffic comes, I don't want to hit the wind. It's called a T something, T something. I forget. We're just going to slide over here. Just get out of the main taxiway there. It's just not a good place to finish this checklist. That way, if any other planes come by, maybe we'll miss them. They'll miss us. Okay. So let's set this brake back. And we'll come back in here and get finished up here. So we've done the emergency buttons check, and the battery went to voltage, and we pushed it back out. We've done the stall warning protection system test. Automatic flight control, we have set that. The takeoff data set, the landing field elevation set, takeoff speed set, transponders, altimeters are set. Flight controls, we'll check those. There, yep, there's a plane. That's a Learjet. I knew somebody'd be doing that. That's why I moved out of the way. And full range of movement on all the flight controls. That looks good. So we'll check that. And the trims, we're going to use 7.7 for this CG right here. And I've not done a weight balance. We're basically empty, and we're about almost 1,000 pounds below maximum takeoff weight. I know we're okay. Here's the trim setting right here. So we're going to raise that up to 7.7. Because we're going to use flaps 1. So we'll check that off, flaps for takeoff. And I'm going to go ahead and run them down. Here's the indicator. There's flaps 1. Flaps 2 we'll check to be sure we get proper indication, and we do. We're going to raise them back up to flaps 1, and we'll use flaps 1 takeoff. Enter that, and the external lights emergency light switch is already on. External lights will be our taxi lights. Arm that, and let's just go ahead and move this down all the way down to the next checklist. There it is, and that's for takeoff. So we'll do that at the end of the runway, and we'll go ahead and call for taxi. Put this on. Sao Jose ground, Phenom 757 X-ray, mic ready to taxi. There's an airplane. Taxi to runway 15 via Alpha for 7 X-ray mic. And follow the Phenom 100, yes sir. Okay, there's why we didn't want to be out there. No, we're not following him. He's coming in for the park. Parking brakes off. Well, hello there. That's our baby brother, the 100. He's very, very jealous of us because we're bigger and faster, but we cost more.
Project lead star, report for taxi.